Okay. So should I proceed?
Yeah, continue.
Okay. So we were on CD-ROMs, right? So as we were discussing, these devices have a lot of huge capacity of storing the data. We can acquire data from them easily, and this is readily available. So it can uh, it doesn't require much time to access it. Okay, we can easily get it and then put it into our research with with a bit scheming or with a bit screening, and then we can add it into our research. Okay, so other sources are like scanner devices and individual source system or institutional syndicated data. So all these categories are computer based or digital categories from which we can acquire our data easily, and we will screen it a bit and then we can directly put it into our research. Okay. Next is primary data collection and observation method. Okay. So uh, primary data. Yes. Yes. So what primary data is actually about? Primary data is much more about the observation. Okay. The researcher who is doing the research on the particular topic of his concern, firstly, he should have that keen knowledge about the topic and he should have a keen interest into the topic he wanted to do research on. Okay. Then and then only he can expect positive results from his research. And next thing is he should have a great observation power. Okay. Because if one don't have that observation power, he can't come to the what do we say come to the point where like he won't get what he's seeking for. Okay, or he won't be able to access or analyze the problem which he want to find the answer for. Okay, so he should have a great
मेरी आवाज
observation
सुन
power. Yeah. So the observation method basically consists of four subcategories. That is human observation, mechanical observation, trace analysis, and fourth is focus group discussion. So human observation is the researcher himself should be what do we say? Should be that much intelligent, or he should be that much capable that he should have a great observation power, and he should be curious about the minute things. Okay, then and then only he will be able to access the proper data. He can put it in a proper order, and then only he can get proper outcomes or expect proper outcomes from his research. So, as the name suggests, the technique involves observation and recording done by the human observers. The task of the observer is simple and predefined in case of structured observation. Study, the format, the areas to be observed and recorded are clearly defined. In an unstructured observation, the observer records in a narrative form to entire event that has been observed. Okay, so there are also two categories, structured category and unstructured category. So what unstructured category says is that after the observation or the observation done by the what do we say by the researcher is completely random, or he can put it into the research but he can't give it a sort of proper precise conclusion, right? But on the IELTS side, in the structured observation, as he has noted each and everything, or he has what do we say observed and penned down each and everything very minutely, very keenly, then his design or these his research can be what do we say uh, can be stated as a structured design, because as he has keenly observed, he can put down all the things in a step by step manner and in a very precise way. Okay, so this is the human observation. Second category is mechanical
Hi.
observation. Mechanical observation is the one in which a human is replaced by the mechanical device. Okay, so machine, some sort of machine is there which does the work of the human. Okay, so for example, if I want to give a sort of real time example, you guys all have been through you guys all have been gone or been going through the process of this whole Aadhaar thing, right? So when you hit your Aadhaar's center, there they will be having some sort of devices like retinal scanner or what do we say, some sort of webcams, or some sort of what do we say, finger what do we say, um what's that device is called, um thumb recognition device, right? So all these devices can be sort of come into the category of mechanical observation, right? Because these things have made the what do we say, these devices have made various things so much sophisticated in terms of collection of data, okay? Because your whole other thing is basically dependent on your what do we say, your retinal scan, or your face what do we say, face scan, and your thumb impressions, right? On
तो
that
रेटिना
basis
स्कैन
only
का क्या
each and
यूज
every
होता है?
hello.
हेलो। हाँ, अभी जो रेटिना स्कैन आपने डिवाइस बताया, वो डिवाइस का क्या यूज है?
रेटिनल स्कैन मतलब तुम्हारे आई आई आईज में जो ब्लैक पोर्शन है तुम्हारे आई का, उसको रेटिना
हाँ,
बोलते हैं, राइट?
ठीक है, राइट राइट,
यस।
ओके।
सो उसको रेटिना बोलते हैं, उसका जो उसका जो स्कैन करता है, जो कैमरा होता है उसका, उसको रेटिनल स्कैनर बोलते हैं, राइट?
राइट भैया, ओके।
या सो ये जो डिवाइसेस है, ये डिवाइसेस सॉर्ट ऑफ डेटा कलेक्शन का काम करती है, क्योंकि हर एक इंडिविजुअल को अपना एक यूनिक आइडेंटिफिकेशन कोड दिया गया है, जो कि उसके थंब इम्प्रेशंस के बेसिस पे, या उसके फेस स्कैन पे, या फिर उसके रेटिनल स्कैन पे, क्या स्कैन के बेसिस पे उसको दिया गया है वो आइडेंटिफिकेशन नंबर। सो ये हो गया मैकेनिकल ऑब्जर्वेशन। थर्ड इज ट्रेस एनालिसिस। ट्रेस, सबसे पहले ट्रेस का मतलब, ये मतलब एवरीवन माइट बी अवेयर अबाउट व्हाट ट्रेस इज। ट्रेस मतलब किसी भी चीज का कुछ लेफ्ट ओवर, या फिर कोई भी पीछे छूटा हुआ उसका कोई भी एविडेंस सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग, उसको ट्रेस बोलते हैं। सो in this, the remains or the leftovers of the consumer's basket, like his credit card spend, the recycle bin of his computer, his uh, garbage bin, are evaluated to measure the current trends and patterns of usage and disposal. Observational techniques are an extremely useful method of primary data collection and are always a part of inputs, whether accompanying other techniques like interviews, discussion, questionnaires, administration, or as the prime method of data collection. Yes, this method is also that much useful as this all other mentioned categories are. Oh, cause what do we say? Um, this deleted, or this sort of data which is not mentioned anywhere, or which is tried to what do we say, the data which is tried to kept away from the people, or sort of we can say it as a confidential data. This data can also be of a great use for coming down towards the conclusion, or finding the actual what do we say, data which can support our research, right? So this traces of the previous datas can also be of a great help for us, okay? So that is trace analysis. And finally, the fourth category is focus group discussion. So as in previous session we have discussed about what sample is, so let me recall it once again. So what sample is, as it is not possible for us to apply our research findings, or whatever the data which we acquire from our data, as we can't completely apply it on entire population as a whole. What we do is we select a cluster of people, uh, like we divide them, or we choose them on basis of some sort of categorization, like we apply some criteria, okay? And on that basis of criteria we select those people, those masses for our research. We consistently keep monitoring these people, we consistently keep questioning these people, we are consistently in touch of these people, and for the particular duration these people we consider them as our respondents, okay? And once our research is done, and once it is finally validated or considered as 100% reliable, then and then only we apply our data entirely on what do we say, on entire population, right? So अगर उसका रियल टाइम एग्जांपल देना हुआ तो सॉर्ट ऑफ अगर कोई वैक्सीन है जो मार्केट में आना चाहती है, लेकिन first of all, or what the scientists or the researchers do is they try to do the sample runs on what do we say, specimens, like जो animals या फिर जो छोटे छोटे rats वगैरह, mice वगैरह ये होता है, उन पे उनका टेस्टिंग किया जाता है. After that, they are under constant monitoring. They are consistently analyzed what sort of changes occur in them after injection injecting them with the vaccines for a particular period of time. And once it is analyzed that this vaccine works on them, then few what do we say, human respondents are taken for the research. They are injected with that, and then uh, for few days or for few months they are again analyzed and kept under consistent monitoring. And when it is finally what do we say, um, it is observable, it is not noticeable that there is no sort of harm to the people, then and then only it is validated. Okay, so this comes under focus group discussion. Okay,
I have a
so
question here.
okay, yeah, please.
So, when we are talking about the sample size,
Okay.
then what is the criteria for determining whether we have an adequate sample size so that the law of averages can be used or not? Like, if you consider a
Actually the
population
thing
of,
is,
yeah, if you
hello,
consider a
the
population of 1,000 people, then what should be the
okay,
sample size? Should it be like 10 people or 100
actually the
people or
sample
500?
size is basically decided on the basis of what is the budget, or what is the, what do we say, what is the scenario of your research, right? So different various factors are taken into consideration, right? Because if we particularly talk about an organization, right, so there are two categories. The organization might be a big large organization, or it may be a small organization, right? So if it is a small organization consisting of very minute people or very few people, in that case we will opt for the respondents in a minute quantity, or we can use our sample in a very less quantity. Okay,
Correct.
but while on the aisle side, if the company is large and if we are looking for greater outcomes, or if we are expecting some greater outcomes from it,
Hmm.
okay, and also the budget of the company is very much high, like it is able to spend what do we say, ample of money onto the research, in that case we will choose our sample in that order. Okay, so what I am trying to say is कि sample जो है वो uh, बहुत सारे facets पे या बहुत सारे aspects पे depend करता है sample size. Okay,
Right. So I want to understand
yeah,
what those aspects are. Let me just give you an example. Let's say if you
uh,
conduct a survey on LinkedIn, and let's say that
okay,
survey is around the doctors, that how many
okay.
doctors are themselves following up healthy habits, how many of them are following up healthy habits and something. And let's say
Okay.
about 100 doctors in your LinkedIn
So
connection
so so so
respond to it.
particularly अगर किसी healthcare category में करना है मुझे research,
No,
तो
no,
मेरे जो
it's not about
respondents होंगे
it's
सबसे,
not about healthcare category. Please don't. Please let me finish my question. It's
yeah,
not about healthcare care. Let me choose that you are doing it for mechanical engineers, and you do a survey that how prone mechanical engineers are to injury when they're working on the shop floor.
okay,
Okay, or something like that.
yeah,
Or are mechanical engineers paid enough to run their families? Whatever might be the
okay.
survey. Now, let's say if
So if
100
so
people respond back to it, there are like millions of mechanical engineers in India. So, how do you
yes,
define a adequate sample size for your focus group discussion so that you can come to a conclusion which you can apply to the superset and it will still hold true?
okay. So what you are trying to say is कि ऐसे कौन से factors है, या फिर ऐसे कौन सी findings है, या फिर ऐसे कौन से points है जिसके basis पे मैं अपना sample size design करूं, अ, या फिर जो
Yes,
what do we
correct,
say.
correct.
Okay, so अगर अभी आपने मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर्स के बारे में बताया, so there are what do we say, there are multiple mechanical engineers, right? So अगर हम किसी एक specific organization को ले, okay, hello,
Yes, yes, you're audible. You're audible.
या ओके. सो अगर हम किसी एक पर्टिकुलर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर्स को ले, तो सबसे पहले हम उनके व्हाट डू वी से, उन लोगों का क्वालिफिकेशन, राइट, उन लोगों के एज ग्रुप्स, और या फिर उन लोगों की पे स्केल, इन सभी चीज़ों को सबसे पहले एनालाइज करेंगे, और उसके बेसिस पे इन लोगों को डिफरेंट डिफरेंट कैटेगरीज में इन लोगों को डिवाइड करेंगे, राइट. इन लोगों के लिए हम कुछ स्पेसिफिक क्राइटेरिया इस रेंज में हम लगाएंगे, उसी के बेसिस पे हम इन लोगों को सॉर्ट करेंगे, और इन लोगों के बेसिस और इन्हीं क्राइटेरियाज के बेसिस पे हम इन लोगों को एक व्हाट डू वी से, एक पर्टिकुलर पीरियड के लिए इन लोगों को अंडर कांस्टेंट मॉनिटरिंग रखेंगे. ओके,
Mhm.
एंड आफ्टर दैट व्हाट डू वी से, उसके बाद ही जो फाइंडिंग्स हमें उस रिसर्च से मिलेंगी, उसके बाद ही हम उसको विल गेट इट वैलिडेटेड. ओके, सो I hope I have answered your question or not.
See, My other part of your the first part of question is well answered by you. In fact, you already discussed that. My other part
Yeah.
of question is how do I determine whether my sample size is adequate enough so that the conclusions which I've drawn from it are applied to the global group of the people who I'm researching for.
Okay.
Researching for college students, and then you are
Mhm.
taking up a size of let's say 100 students, and then you visit to
Okay.
the university campus in Pune, and you publish that research as a representation of all the students in India.
Okay.
It would not hold true, right? There will be a lot of gaps
Yes,
into
yes,
it.
yes,
So
absolutely.
what is the adequate size that we can have for the sample group? That is my question. How do we determine the size of the sample group?
Uh,
आशुतोष
Guys,
प्लीज
please
म्यूट हो
mute all.
जो
yeah,
बोलता
just
है
a
वही
minute, just a
होगा
minute. Hello. Uh, Actually, I haven't gone in that much deep, but I can find the answer and then let you know. I will revert back to you. Is it okay?
No problem, brother. In fact, I'll also try to find the answer of the question. If I find something,
Yes,
I'll
yes.
share on the
Okay,
group.
okay, okay, okay. Sure, sure, sure.
Study, that's
Sorry,
why
sorry for that. I will get back to you.
you don't have to say sorry, man. Come
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
It's a group study, and that's why I posed my question.
Yes, yes, yes. So yeah, these are the four categories which fall under observation method, right? Uh, then we'll be seeing primary data through personal interview method, right? So just a minute. Yeah. So now we'll be saying the different methods which we can through which we can find our data or the primary data for our research. Okay. So uh, the pro any research if we want to make it successful or if we want to what do we say get proper outcomes from it, we have to combine both the data, that is primary as well as the secondary data, then and then only we can get the precise information and can expect good results from it, right? So now we'll be seeing different categories or the methods from which we can acquire secondary data for our research. Okay. So first is telephone interview, right? So telephone interview is the process in which uh, we have a one-on-one interaction with the person or our respondents from which we are seeking the information from. We directly get in touch with him with the help of telephone, and we have a proper formal interaction with him, and then we acquire our data. But this process is not much practiced and is a bit what do we say, um, it can hinder or sort of hamper our research at some level, and also it is a bit expensive method, right? So this is not more practiced particularly in organization studies. Okay. Second is personal interviewing. Personal interviewing is like we face the respondent, or we what do we say, we get directly in touch with the person we from which we are seeking the information, and we here also we have a proper formal information with him. Mostly this sort of studies are in the form of like interviews, or we sort of design a some questionnaire with a set of few scheduled questions. We ask him questions, he responds to them, and through that we can acquire our data for our research, right? So and after that, this telephone interviewing category has two subcategories, that is traditional method and computer assisted method. So what happens in traditional telephonic interviews is this process can be accomplished by using the traditional telephone for conducting the questioning, right? So we can directly get in touch with him through our direct what do we say, direct contact method. But in computer assisted system, what happens is it is completely sorry, I didn't mention it in full form. It is computer assisted telephone interviewing, right? So in this process, the interviewer is replaced by the computer, and it involves conducting the telephonic interviewing using a computerized interview format. The interviewer sits in front of a computer terminal and wears some mini headsets in order to hear the respondent's answers more clearly. However, unlike the traditional method where he had to manually record the responses are simultaneously recorded onto the computer. So here what happens is the task which normally the interviewer does are done by the computer or the digital proctor system itself. Okay, so this is the telephoning interviewing. And on I'll side, second category is personal interviewing. It consists of three subcategories, that is at home, second is mail recipient, and third is computer assisted interviewing, personal interviewing. So first category is at home, like we visit the respondent there itself at his place of residence, like the place where he resides. We meet him there itself. We ask him questions. We sort of have a formal interaction with him, and hence we can acquire data from him. So one more benefit of this thing is what happens sometimes respondents in a new environment sort of get a bit nervous, and they sort of have a sense of what do we say, they feel a bit low in a new environment, and hence that can directly or indirectly affect onto the their responding capacity, or on their what do we say, their responding patterns that might change there. So if we sort of carry out a interview or sort of carry a one-on-one interaction at the place where he resides there, the environment he is daily what do we say, um, he is what can we say, mm, the place where he reside, or he is much more familiar, right? He is much more familiar to the place, right? And hence he can give us the proper answers for our questions. Okay, so this is the category at home. Second is mail recipient, intersect, sorry. In this category we directly mail to the person from which we are seeking the information, and we acquire the data, but it's a bit time consuming process, cause you all know uh, sometimes there might be delay in what do we say, uh, reverting back. Sometime he might not be able due to his busy schedule, or sometimes there must be in some cases most of the respondents actually don't like to entertain the interviewer, hence in that cases there might be a delay in what do we say, reverting back with the information which we want, and hence what do we say, it can sort of hinder our research, right? So this even this process is not what do we say, um, it's not referred much particularly in organization, right? And finally it's computer assisted personal interviewing. Okay, so this technique is carried out with the help of the computer. In this form of interviewing, the respondents faces an assigned computer terminal and answer a questionnaire on the computer screen by using the keyboard or a mouse. A number of pre-designed packages are available to help the researchers design simple questions that are self-explanatory, and instead of probing, the respondent is guided to set a question depending on answer given. There is usually an interviewer present at the time of respondent's computer-assisted interviewer and is available to help and guide him if required. Okay, so even in this category, as we have seen in previous category, computer assisted telephonic interviewing, here also in this category, what do we say? There is actually no need of interviewer in this. We already have a questionnaire in a what do we say, in a preset format, like questionnaire is already scheduled in a step by step manner, and it is displayed on the screen of the person from on the screen of the respondent, and he just have to what do we say, uh, submit the answer for the prior question and jump on to the next question. Okay, so that simple it is. So it is computer assisted personal interview. Okay, I hope all these categories are pretty much like, it is very much basic and easy. Okay, so I think everyone here might know or at least have a rough idea about what these sub points want to say. Okay, so now we'll be looking advantages of primary data collection. Interpretation of data is more accurate. Okay, next is addresses the targeted concerns. Effective spending on data decency of information, addresses the particular research issue, and has more control rate. So all these points say is ki, there are various advantages of primary data. So very first benefit is like, as we do all the things right from the baseline, or just we start all the things from the grassroots level. We have all the information, or we ourselves as a researcher, we know all the insights. We all know different facets of the different facets of the information, like from where we acquired and all, and we all know all the basic things related to our research, and hence uh, this data is completely reliable, and we can what do we say, guarantee that this data is completely 100% what do we say, it is completely applicable, or we can bring it in action, right? So effective spending on data decency of information, right? So what this says is, uh, we what do we say, um, I'm not getting proper word for it. um, Okay, so let it be. So addresses particular research issue. Yes. So as we have discussed, as we acquire the data on our own, we know all the insights of the research, and hence the issues or the topics which not have been answered yet, or a topic which were done and left at a particular stage. Okay, so such information we can carry it on further. We can bring some modifications or alterations into it, and then we can finally get it published, and hence that data is completely reliable. Okay, so this is what mentioned in 4 point addresses particular research issues. Okay, so these are few categories, or few ways from which we can acquire the data for both primary as well as secondary categories. So primary consists of interviews, different polls, surveys, talks with the experts, observe users interact, conduct market research, experiments, and much more. There are much more categories. And secondly, on IELTS side, secondary, it consists of analysis of data from websites, read accounts written by other people, analyze articles in magazines, newspapers, view video tutorials, downloaded data from marketing websites and all. Okay, so uh, these are the different tools we have already previously discussed in primary data, that is questionnaire, interview scheduling, or observation. These all three categories come under primary data collection method. Okay, and so meaning of interview scheduling. So a series of questions that can be asked in an interview in a step-by-step manner is called as the interview schedule. Okay, one-to-one direct communication between the researcher and the subject for the collection of data can be referred as an interview schedule. Okay, so it basically deals with the one-on-one or directly face-to-face interaction with our respondents. Okay, so there are a few limitations of this one-on-one interaction. They are hesitation to express, right? So in that case, as we have discussed in previous slide, if a respondent is interviewed at the place of his residence, he would feel a bit much, what do we say, relaxed, and he can give us the desired answers for research. Okay, so hesitation is the major problem. Okay, so then time restrictions. Third is less time for thinking. Fourth is subjective. Fifth is researchers' influence. Fifth is it's consciousness. Okay. And finally, manipulated or polished or sophisticated or socially accepted responses may be preferred. So all these are the limitations which we can face in one-on-one interviewing with our respondents. Okay, so what happens sometimes, the what do we say, if in case we are recording, or what do we say, what do we say, we are capturing the interview with our respondent on camera for our further references. In such case, if he is not that habitual, or he is sort of, what do we say, if our respondent is sort of an introvert person, or if he is not used to or he is not exposed to the different devices or different media assets, in such case he can get much more conscious in the conscious with his surrounding. Okay, and hence it can directly or indirectly affect on the his response responding capability. Okay, so these all are the limitations which can hamper the one-on-one interaction. Okay, so now we'll see how to conduct an interview. Sorry. So interview schedule should be as per the objectives, like planning of time, duration, place, mode of recording, etc. So before scheduling a proper interview, we should firstly, our first thing, our first duty is to make the respondent comfortable. Okay, because if he is comfortable, then and then only we can expect proper and precise information from him. Okay, so in terms of time, in terms of duration, in terms of place of recording, all these things should be taken into consideration. Okay, second is follow formalities. Okay, so even if you are getting information from the respondent, your researching or your questioning process should have at least, what do we say, a proper structure, or should go with what do we say, uh, your interviewing method should have some proper ethical background. Okay, so you should yourself lay down some rules or regulations to your research, and then only you should interact with your respondents. Okay, like you should have some what do we say, you should follow some proper formalities during interaction with the respondent. Okay, next is respect not to answer right of subject. Then use of appropriate language. Yes, absolutely. So it's not absolutely acceptable, or what do we say, sometimes there might be what do we say, language barriers. Okay, so in many of the cases what happens is, researcher is seeking for the information in English language, but the respondent sort of might be, in some cases he might be illiterate, or if he is not much familiar to the language. In that case he might end up with giving us false information or irrelevant information. Okay, so to avoid this, we should be very much precise, or we should be at least having the sense of analyzing that the person we are using as a respondent, he should get it clearly in a very feasible way what we are trying to say him. Okay, next is positive body language, then directing the interview, and finally questioning, the proper stress and tone used to subject questions if required. Yes, so final point is, even if you are questioning the person or the respondent, your tone, your body language, everything should be in a proper manner. Like he should not feel you are sort of, what do we say, um, you are forcefully trying to acquire information from him, right? So as we have discussed initially, the respondents should feel very much comfortable, like he should feel that he is at his home, and in that way he should what do we say, we should make him comfortable by all the means, like our tone of speaking should be sort of in a very formal way, so that he can what do we say, he can match with our pace. He even he can get the vibes from us, and then um, we can expect proper information from him. So that's it for today's unit. We are done with primary and secondary data unit. I hope everybody is clear with it. And I think the question which was asked by, um, sorry, who asked the question? Can you please mention your name?
Chaitanya.
Yeah, Chaitanya. So Chaitanya, I'll get back to you. I'll get much more information related to it, and then we'll revert you back. Okay?
Sure, boss. No worries.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I was pretty much clear till here. Is there still anything I should mention, or is there anything I should go back and again explain it?
No, it was good.
Okay. So should we wind up now? Even if you have some questions, please do ping me personally. I will definitely try to what do we say, find answers for your questions. Okay.
Thank you, Jay. It was a good presentation. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, buddy. Thanks a lot. More thanks to you, cause today, in absence of Ritu, you did the recording. So
Yeah, please, at the
huge
end of
thanks
this,
to you.
please help me where the recording is stored and how do I access it, guys?
Yes, absolutely. Don't worry. All the recordings are public. You can access them anytime.
But I'm just asking like where it is stored on my computer now because I'm recording it. I need to publish it or share it with you, right? So
I think on PC it directly goes into the downloads.